Lennox, 25 years ago in Las Vegas, you became the last undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. In the build-up to that fight, what was it like? Did you get that sense that this was history that you were about to make?
Yeah, I just look at it as another fight, and I didn't look at the history aspect. I just looked at it as, you know, Evander Holyfield has never fought me, but everybody said he's the champion. So I was like, how is he the champion? Never fought me. So I was looking forward to that fight, to proving to everybody that real heavyweights, you know, are the best, and that if a cruiserweight comes up to his weight class or to my weight class, I got to make him know that the bigger guy wins.
So once we get to Las Vegas for the rematch in November of that year, did you have a different sense then? Did you have was there maybe more pressure on you? I mean, you were experienced by then, but did you feel the pressure going into the rematch in Las Vegas?
The rematch after the first one?
Yeah.
No, because you know, I looked at it as, well, they didn't believe it the first time, so I got to do it again. And you know, it was never gonna be easy for me, and I knew that. I knew I would come against some kind of boundaries and things to hold me back. So I was prepared for that.
Which fight was harder, Lennox? The fight in New York, the drawn one, or the rematch which you won in Las Vegas? Which one was a harder fight?
The first one, because we didn't know each other, and now after we've learned to each other's, you know, what we do in the ring, you know, for me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just do the same thing. But
the rematch was a hard fight, the Vegas fight. I had to watch it back. I'd forgotten how hard it was. That's a hard fight, and that 7th round's a brutal round.
Yeah, it seemed hard. You know, Holyfield definitely realized that, you know, he had to work to try and beat me. Because the first fight, he came in singing, and I couldn't understand, how does the man sing and he's not taking me serious? So that really upset me and made me, you know, go a bit mental and a little bit more in the first fight. And I think the second fight, he wasn't coming in singing.
And neither were you. You coming in with a serious head on.
Yeah.
Because once you got the decision that night, I know you still had fights to do, some things to prove in your head and to other people, but you had those belts. You were the undisputed. You'd already been the Olympic champion. You'd already been the world champion. You'd already been the British heavyweight champion. What was that feeling like in the ring that night at the Thomas and Mack in November 1999 as the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world? Can you remember what that was like?
Yeah, it was great. The feeling was unbelievable. This is what I've worked my entire career for, is to become undisputed champion and bringing all the belts together.
Now, of course, it would be lovely if we could finish this fairy tale by saying you then defended all three belts, and then retired undefeated as the champion. But you didn't. In your next fight, you've already lost one of the belts or two of the belts. What a business.
Yeah, to me, I was still undisputed because, you know, that was just a money thing. The different belts really, that belt wanted money from me, so I wasn't willing to give.
So in your heart, did you still feel, and do you still feel like you're the undisputed champion? Right now, do you still feel that Lennox Lewis is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world?
Absolutely. You know, I look at the guys that are at the top now, they're undefeated. That's because I wasn't there.
So they're undefeated, not undisputed?
Right. Right.
Can you believe we've had to wait this long? I know we've got the 4th belt in the mix now, but can you believe we've had to wait nearly 25 years for that fight to repeat itself? Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to bring all the belts together. You know, I said to myself that I wanted to clean up the division, and I did before I left.
So cleaning up the division and wanting to bring all the belts together is one thing. Wanting is one thing, but as you know really from boxing, making it happen is another thing.
Yeah, it's always hard. It's always hard. This is why it's been 25 years to really come together again to try and win the undisputed, because the promoters don't want you to have that. They're happy having a champion. They don't care if you have all the belts or one belt or two. As long as you have a belt, so they can publicize it and say, hey, we have the heavyweight champion. Yeah, but there's 3 heavyweight champions. You know, I didn't like that fact. That's why I had to bring them all together.
And once you brought it all together, then they start falling apart. And then we have, well, the best part of 15, 20 years, really, where there's at least 2 champions, sometimes 3 champions. You can see that's hard for the public to recognise who's the biggest and best fighter on the planet.
There's always going to be that argument. That's why I didn't want that argument to come into my history. You know, I didn't want people getting their hair cut and somebody saying, well, who's the champion? Holyfield, Tyson, Lewis. You know, there's always that argument because each one of us have our fans that will fight for us, will, you know, talk up for us. So when you're undisputed champion now, nobody can say nothing.
I thought you were going to do the Eddie Murphy thing then. I thought you were going to start doing Rocky Marciano. There's always someone mentions Rocky Marciano. You were close to doing it then. You had that look about you. Yeah. Lennox, once you had those belts and you've got those belts, and then they start to go away again, but in your heart you're still undisputed. So was it important to you to finish by fighting Vitaly Klitschko? Because he held that he'd held that WBO belt, which wasn't fully recognised. Right. So was that important to you? Was that part of in your head when you fought him that night in LA?
Absolutely. You know, he had the other belt and he was the next challenger. And you know, Manny said, "Listen, you can be undisputed, and you can be the best in this era, and also be the next best in the next era as well." And I said, "Boy, yeah, that's what I want to do." And he said, "Let's do it."
You know, I want to take you back to the second fight with Evander Holyfield, and you've mentioned Manny Stewart there, who obviously is no longer with us. But his nephew, Sugar Hill, is around, and he's going to be in Tyson Fury's corner. And he reminded me of something. He reminded me, and you maybe don't want to be reminded of it, he reminded me of the chewing out that Manny gave you in that fight. And he gave you in a few fights. Oh, yeah. When Manny read the riot act, nobody read the riot act like Manny, did they? No.
And you know, when he went off at me, at that time I actually hurt my hand. But, you know, we didn't have enough time to tell him. I couldn't tell him, hey, I hurt my hand, I got to take a rest for this next round. He was just giving it to me, but it was still in me. You know, he definitely reared me up.
Yeah, he certainly did rear you up. So at what point, Lennox, did you start to look at the heavyweight scene in the last few years and think, you know what, I'm the undisputed now, but there's a chance some of these guys might get together and see sense and fight each other for my undisputed belt? Did you start to sense that in the last few years?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, this is what these guys fight for. And if you look at both of them, they're both undefeated. So there was a couple close fights where they could have lost, but they're still undefeated. And I think that's great that they've worked their way to this point, and now we can actually see who's going to be undisputed now. And there has to be one winner, and both guys are winners. And in this fight that they're going to fight, there can only be one winner.
In the build-up, so over the last 18 months, we've had Anthony Joshua's been in the mix, holding titles. Deontay Wilder's held titles. Now Usyk holds titles. Now Tyson Fury holds titles. Those four, they've been mixing it around, and it's good for the sport. Take yourself out of being the undisputed. You're just a fan for a moment. It's good for a sport that it looks like all those guys will eventually, over the next 18 months, fight each other. That's good for boxing, isn't it?
Great for boxing. You know, I love to see good competition. I hate when good fighters don't box each other because, you know, they owe it to the fans, they owe it to themselves. And we're in the sport to fight each other, not to run from each other. And the first person to run, I would say, I think all the heavyweights kind of stayed away from me. Holyfield stayed away from me for the longest while. Riddick Bowe didn't fight me. You know, Tyson didn't really want to fight me. So I was the man at the top. I was the guy that everybody was afraid of, in the sense that, yo, I'm the best guy out there. They know it, but, you know, I had to prove it.
And as a fighter, if you were around over the last 5 or 6 years, you'd have had to have fought one of your leading challengers, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Your heart would have made you.
Yeah, I mean, I've never ducked anybody. I've always boxed everybody.
And could I just say, Lennox, I've looked at your shape. You're doing about 245 pounds. It's a little bit too close to your fighting weight for me. You're not doing an exhibition or anything. You're not got anything planned, have you? Now tell me the truth.
No, I don't have anything.
Honestly?
Don't have anything planned.
You just happen to be slim and in great condition.
Yes.
And that's just natural, is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah, we'll discuss this after. I'm not quite sure I believe you just yet. That's neither here nor there. So Lennox, with these two guys, Oleksandr Usyk, Tyson Fury, vastly different characters. One's a southpaw, one's orthodox, one's 6'9", one's 6'3", but they both bring different things to the ring. You must be relieved they're fighting, but more than that, Lennox, what type of fight do you think we'll get once that first bell sounds in Riyadh?
I think both guys, you got two guys with completely different styles, and you know, they know about the first round. The first round, they're going to feel each other out. Second round, they're going to feel each other out. The third round, that's when they're going to start the boxing. They're going to start, you know, checking out, listening to their corner. The corner is going to say to them, hey, do this, you know, do that. And they're going to listen to their corners. I think the fight won't really get started till like the fourth round.
You think that? You think it might take a bit of a while to get going?
Yeah, because these guys have completely different styles, and they have to warm into the style.
Do they have a clash? Would there be a clash of styles?
Yeah.
Do you see it being ugly, for want of a better word? A bit of a clash?
Maybe. It depends how Usyk comes out, because he may come out aggressive and, you know, trying to push Tyson Fury around, or Tyson Fury may come out aggressive trying to push him around. And both of them are trying to hold each other, hold their own ground. And so that's a chess match.
But that is a chess match. But sometimes in a chess match, you've got to play defensive chess, as you know, rather than just aggressive chess. Yeah. So there might be a little bit of maybe Usyk being a bit smarter. Yeah,
of course. I mean, he's a smart boxer. That's how he boxes. You know, one's a singer, one's a dancer.
Yeah, one's a singer, one's a dancer. It's far more than just the big man's going to win because he's the big man. Because wasn't. I mean, even though you're a bigger man than Holyfield, that only tells this much of the story, man. It doesn't tell about the hearts, the guts, the cuts, the blood, and how hard it was.
No, because you're forgetting about the first part. A good big man.
Yeah, a good big man. Could be even a good bit small man.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the key.
Yes.
So is it that simple going into this fight? Do we have to see a good Tyson Fury though?
Absolutely. Only Fury can defeat himself in that sense, because he's got all the attributes of a champion. You know, he moves well, he's elusive, he boxes from southpaw, orthodox. So he needs to bring all those things together in this fight.
Was it the same with you, Lennox, without going back into your history? Was it only Lennox Lewis that could beat Lennox Lewis?
Yes. You know.
So the defeats are down to Lennox Lewis?
All the defeats are down to me. And, you know, it was a good lessons, because, you know, from defeat, I had to show people, like, I'm a true champion. I can come back again.
Those defeats made you in some ways, didn't they? I know it sounds like a ridiculous statement, but they did. And then the rematches to put the defeats right definitely made you.
Right. You know, if I didn't lose, I wouldn't be as great as I am today.
So going into, we're in round 4 or 5 now of the undisputed fight. They've both had a couple of rounds to size each other up, excuse the expression. They're getting to know each other. Does one of them, by about round 4, have to push it a little bit and try and take the initiative and stamp themselves on this fight?
Yes, they have to. Usyk has to. Especially, you know, I see him kind of dancing around and, you know, trying to find some way in. He's trying to find some weak point of Tyson Fury. And, you know, that's how he boxes. He's a thinking boxer.
Can I tell you something that happened this week? And I've never seen it before. During the open workouts, you know, so they were working out for 3 minutes, 1 round, all of the fighters on the undercard. Usyk comes, he does his 3 minutes. He messes around, he's orthodox instead of southpaw, but he's playing, he's laughing, he's joking. And then Tyson Fury came in the ring. He did about 25 minutes, Lennox. And Usyk was come up with where I was working and sat there or stood next to me. And he didn't speak or look around. For 20 minutes, he just watched Tyson Fury moving. Yeah. Watched him on the pads, watched him moving off the ropes. I've never seen that before. Would you have done something like that? Would that have been part of what you had done?
Absolutely. What he's doing is getting a sense of, you know, Tyson Fury, how he's going to move and what he's going to be doing. You know, he's watching his body motions. He's trying to catch a vibe watching him, not taking his eyes off of him. That's what I do when I go into the ring. I got my eyes on my opponent all the time.
From the moment you step through the ropes, you're watching them?
From the moment I step through the ropes, I'm watching him all the time.
You did claim some souls before the first bell, didn't you?
Yeah.
You did, yeah.
Yep.
I'm thinking Michael Grant, you owned him before the first belt.
Yeah, at the
Galotta, you owned him before the first belt.
At the press conference.
Yeah, actually, yeah. In all
Both
fairness.
guys.
It's interesting, Les, because most people, when I say I'm talking to Lennox Lewis, they say, oh, he's such a lovely guy. And I go, yeah, he was a lovely guy, but he was horrible in the ring.
Yeah.
Is that a fair comment?
It is, because I always thought of myself as Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, without a doubt, you're Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Now, I'm not sure if part of your role here in Saudi is to hand the winner the belt you've carried in your heart for 25 years, the undisputed. What do you think that will feel like at about 1 o'clock in the morning when you're giving them, one of them, the undisputed belt, a belt that, as I say, you feel that you've still owned since that night in November? What would that be like for you?
I feel good because I'll be giving it to the next guy that it belongs to, and I'll feel good handing it over because now he has to beat my record, hold it for 25 years.
That's possible. In this day and age, who knows?
Yeah.
And I don't like doing this, but I've got to put you on the spot.
Okay.
How do you think it will end? How do you think this fight ends? Who's the winner and how does he win?
I think it'll be a close fight. I think Tyson Fury should win on points. And it's going to be an unbelievable fight. It always is when you got two undefeated guys that don't know nothing about losing.
And the final question, it's the cheeky question, Lennox. Do you wish you were 25 again right now, brother?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got internet now.
You'd be a superstar, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
You're a superstar
media,
anyway.
Social media, oh man.
Yeah. And you're 245.
245.
You're fighting weight.
Yep.
Still got your looks.
Yes, thank you.
Still got your health. Oh, man. Imagine you now.
Yeah.